Austin, thanks for the time as always. There was the Joey Aguilar part of the conversation. There was everything that went on offensively that was so new. Where do you begin the conversation? Do you begin with number 6 or anything else that stands out from Tennessee's offensive performance against Syracuse?
Yeah, I think it all starts with Joey Aguilar because the quarterback position drives the train so much. And Joey obviously had a fantastic opening salvo, really, really solid. Didn't put the ball in harm's way. That's where it really started for me is all off season, at least dating back to when he joined Tennessee's football program, the whole chatter was, well, he threw a lot of picks. It was one game. It was one game. But in this one game, he did not put the ball in harm's way. I thought, Tennessee's running game, the wide splits, all that to his advantage. I thought they called plays for him to be effective. He showed that when things break down, he's got a craftiness to him, Josh, that that I think will help this team over the course of the season. So I think that he had a really nice opening game. He's got to build off of it this week. Yes, it's just ETSU, but you want to go out there if you're Joey Aguilar and have a really good performance. It doesn't matter if it's routes on air or you're playing Alabama or Georgia or ETSU or whoever. You want to go out there and perform at a high level, and I think you want to build off what you did last weekend because ultimately you do have one of those big ones next weekend against Georgia at home.
The dialogue on the sideline with his teammates, that was something that stood out to me, just getting feedback from the Syracuse game. Is that something that you heard from some of the players, some of the people around the office that on the sideline in between drives, he was really vocal with his teammates?
Yes, he does not shy away from the leadership aspect of things. The guy that kind of beats his chest and is going to be leading the what I call the Drew Brees moments, like in the pregame, getting them fired up, is always going to be Arion Carter. But Joey Aguilar is not shy about being vocal, leading. The 24 years old aspect of this is something that I think shines through very much so. And for Joey, the teams gravitated towards him. He won the job. He came in, he put his head down, went to work, and they all really liked Joey a lot. And the players seemed to have a nice camaraderie with him, and I think that's paid off.
Austin Price, Volquest.com. Want to get back to football on the field, but off the field, Tennessee's recruiting has continued to roll, flipping another prospect who you've told us about the last few months. Tennessee has continued to pursue him, flipping him from Auburn. Tell us about him, another top 100 prospect, a top edge who committed to Tennessee 2 days ago.
Yeah, getting Hezekiah Harris was a big deal. Tennessee wanted to continue to add quality players on the edge. That's a position they've recruited really, really well since Josh Heupel's been here. Coach Chop's been on that one for a while. He has deep ties to the state of Alabama. Hezekiah from the northern Alabama area in Huntsville, and that one felt like it was going to go much longer than it actually did. I think Tennessee felt like that one would go deep into December, and it will because teams aren't going to stop recruiting him. Auburn's going to keep trying to flip him back and all that, but I think Tennessee thought like, okay, if you're going to get Hezekiah to flip, it's going to happen in December. His brother plays at Auburn. They took him as a transfer this past offseason from Austin Peay. The question is his brother there past this year, or does he move on and play somewhere else? He's kind of a bigger guy. Not sure he fits into the Auburn scheme. We'll see where things go, but certainly Hezekiah felt like Tennessee was the spot, and decided to flip. And again, it'll be up to Coach Chop at Tennessee to hold on to him between now and December.
Any players we should be on the watch for? Tennessee's been flipping commitments left and right. Any other players that may be committed somewhere else or uncommitted that Tennessee fans should be on the lookout for?
There's a couple of players that Tennessee's dabbling with. The tight end from Michigan that's committed to Kentucky, like he could end up filling that spot that was vacated by Carson Sneed. Tennessee will continue to try to flip Tristan Givens. It certainly feels like Texas A&M's got their hooks in that one pretty good. So ultimately, I think you're looking at a couple of positions. Tennessee, if they could find the right running back to flip, they would absolutely do that. Since they missed out on Savion Hyder, we'll see what happens there. Interior defensive line, another spot where I think Tennessee would love to add a nice piece, whether it's finding someone uncommitted through senior tape or finding someone who's committed elsewhere and flipping them. And that's why you scour film, you scour senior film, and then you start looking, okay, who is susceptible to maybe trying to flip somebody? You know, what school has got some coaching, you know, potential coaching turnover or any of that stuff, and you kind of dive in on them. And so those are the spots I look at that, you know, potentially Tennessee would want to add, you know, as a potential flip candidates. Tight end, they don't have one committed. Running back, they don't have one committed. And interior defensive lineman, Tennessee needs to bulk up in the middle and continue to add depth there.
Austin Price, Volquest.com. It is Wednesday. Game is on Saturday. What is the latest in terms of the health status of this football team?
Not ideal. Obviously, you lose Jackson Moy, at least for this week. We'll see if he's able to find a way to be back next week. You lose Ricky Gibson for a substantial amount of time. That's not ideal. Those two spots, Tennessee just kind of thin because you lose David Hobbs, and now you lose Jackson Moy. Again, we'll see how quickly Moy can get back, but it's not ideal when you lose two of your top three interior defensive linemen. You're already down Jermod McCoy. It's not ideal when you lose the guy opposite Jermod McCoy, and all of a sudden the two guys back in January, you're like, man, Tennessee's going to be really good at corner next year. They got Jermod McCoy. They got Ricky Gibson. You don't have either. Now, luckily for Tennessee, they got the steal of the spring portal window in Colton Hood, and then Ty Redmond has been really, really impressive since he got to campus as a true freshman. Again, that part of it's lucky. Jalen McMurray gives you position flexibility, star, corner, can kind of do both, can help out, can spell guys. Boo Carter obviously will have his role grows because of this, because, you know, I think he was still fighting to get playing time, get more playing time. He'll naturally get more because they're going to move McMurray around, you know, to try to help spell some things at corner. So there's a little bit of flexibility on the back end. It's more like veteran flexibility than there are at defensive tackle. But defensive tackle, you're going really young or really inexperienced once you get past Bryce and Eason right now. There's no Hobbs. There's no, you know, there's no Jackson Moy. So you're sliding Don Bailey inside, which he did a lot last week. Kid played near 70 snaps, which is just too many. So they've got to add Nathan Robinson back to the mix. They've got to get Jamal Wallace. They've got to get several of these younger defensive linemen ready to go, because Georgia is really good at the point of attack in the interior of the offensive line. You've got to find something to combat that a week from now.
Austin Price, Volquest.com. How about the latest, the status of David Sanders Jr., who did not go this past Saturday? Latest with him and expectation for this weekend?
The expectation is that he'll be able to go. They continue to, you know, evaluate him. He's been at practice this week, and I would venture to say he'll be ready to go against ETSU.
Hey, also at the cornerback position, do you have an idea of an updated timeline for Jermod McCoy, to like best case that he's back on the field, and a substantial or extended period of time for Ricky Gibson? Do you have an idea of what that will mean in terms of when they hope to have him back?
With McCoy, I think the best case scenario is he knocks the rust off against UAB, plays against Mississippi State as far as like substantial action, but gets a little bit of action against UAB. To me, that's the best case scenario. I don't see him playing next week. I think he would have had to be ready for this week to play next week. I don't think they're saying, hey, just go out there and defend Zachariah Branchco. You know, I don't think that's how you set a kid up to succeed. As for Ricky Gibson, no timeline on him.
Also, Boo Carter, is he returning punts this week? What does that punt return position look like, either immediately this week against ETSU or as this season plays out?
I think eventually he does. Obviously, honestly, I thought he would last week. I knew he wouldn't start on the defensive side of the ball. I thought they would throw him a bone with punt return. They did not. What's Boo been like in practice this week? You know, what's Boo continued to do to, you know, put the team first and all that? If he does that, then I think that the punt returns will come.
Okay. Austin Price, Volquest.com. One more, and then we'll get you out of here. One of the other stories coming out of the weekend, a guy that we've all talked about, Jesse Perry. Can you take us back to Jesse Perry, the recruit, to year 2, being a guy they trust at guard, trust to move him out at right tackle, just the story of the timeline of him as a recruit to where he is now at Tennessee?
270-pound offensive tackle in a single-wing attack at Middle Tennessee Christian School. They didn't throw the ball. He didn't pass that. None of those things. But he always had size. He just didn't have the girth. Now he's got the girth to go along with the height, and just a smart kid. They do trust him. He's kind of got that flexibility to kind of bump out and play tackle if need be. I think he's going to be a fantastic guard. Now that David's getting back, you saw what Tennessee's contingency plan with the offensive line if they have an injury was last week right out of the gate. What they go, and they were pretty good. What are they going to be like, going forward? Jesse's a kid that, I knew was going to be a real player here. When back in the spring I was talking to Rodney Garner, and that's the guy that he wanted to talk about because of how his defensive linemen have went against Jesse Perry. And then when he threw out words like Chad Clifton, and Rodney was here when Chad Clifton played, that kind of an eye-opener. So you knew, the size, all of that was something that Jesse had, going for him. He's just got to continue to build on it.
Do you think Tennessee is conservative with the starters that will play this weekend? You try to respect the opponent, but we understand what type of game this could be for TSU with the injuries around the squad right now. Do you think Tennessee is conservative and pull some of those guys out a lot earlier than maybe normal?
Yes, I would. At least at certain positions, maybe not at others, but, at certain positions. I don't think you can afford to play Colton Hood too deep into this football game. Same thing with Ty Redmond. Get in, get out, get your work done, stay healthy, and move on to the next week.
All right, Austin, Volquest.com. You can read his work. These can be yes or no answers, and we'll get you out of here, I promise. But we had these questions come in back to recruiting. Does Tennessee have any interest in trying to flip Carson Snead back, as well as Savion Hyder, who we were asked about a bunch?
Not to my knowledge, and Savion Hyder, I said leading into the announcement, whoever gets him will get him. There's the way that kid's handled his process, he's not going to be one that, commits and, still listens and then potentially flips later. That I thought whoever he committed to, kind of like Rodney Dunham did when he committed to Notre Dame, you knew once you didn't get him initially, you weren't going to get him in the long run. You just have to handle yourself the right way in case something happens and he wants to transfer. You might be an option down the road.